Hey, what's up? This is Apple Bottom Jeans here. People ask a lot about affordable techwear options because it has to be said the best known brands in techwear often come up with a pretty high price. Whenever you're combining those high quality materials and construction with good looks, the result is inevitably going to be expensive. But of course, people do want to get that same kind of techwear look without spending the same money as Acronym, Valence, other kinds of brands. Often these options are described as the affordable techwear brands, those guys that will aim to imitate or even replicate the style of brands like Acronym, but sacrificing performance, construction quality, some of those features as well, perhaps not being as thought out. Or you opt for those outdoor gear brands that maybe will get some of that performance that you might be after, but at the cost of looks. But sitting somewhere between these two seemingly opposing sides is the overlooked and underutilized world of military gear or these tactical brands. And if you forget about the idea of wearing a cool or a desirable brand, then on paper they do present quite a few advantages. Military gear has served as the inspiration for quite a lot of techwear brands and particular design elements and features. So if that's the kind of look or the style that you're going for, why not go straight back to the source? Secondly, by nature, military gear is designed to be very durable, or at the very least reliable. So one would hope that you could count on it for all kinds of weather conditions and hopefully for long-term wear, and it would hopefully do better than a fast fashion product would in that regard. And thirdly, not only is this stuff pretty cheap by techwear standards, I also get the feeling that you're not really paying for a brand name in the same way as you would many of the other techwear brands. In theory, this should end up giving you better clothing at the same or a better price. That's the theory at least, but we got to put this stuff into practice as well. So I've picked up two items from a UK military retailer. They're called Military First, for any of you UK boys. I got a jacket and a pair of pants. Together, those things cost me £100 or about $140, which is way below pretty much anything on this channel, and even cheaper than most of those affordable techwear brands that I've spoken about in the past. Firstly, let's take a look at this soft shell jacket from a brand called Helican. This came in at £70, and it actually has quite a few of the features that you might recognise, like in the Ecstasy and the Rain, for example. It's certainly got a fair bit of storage. There's two decently sized chest pockets, there's two arm pockets as well, which also for arm pockets are fairly big. On the inside, there's a Velcro internal pocket to help keep things safe, and on the back, you've got a dual side entry big back pocket too. It's got a double zip, which is a feature I always like, and arm zips as well, and all of these are YKK hardware, so it's actually pretty decent stuff. It also has a stowable hood in the collar. This is kind of an emergency thing, I feel. It looks kind of functional, it's okay, but it's not really going to get you any style points. When this is stowed again as well, you got to be careful that you've folded this in a very particular way because it can make the collar look a bit weird and lumpy, and even if you do it right, the collar can be a bit sort of big and puffy anyways. The collar shape does seem to look better when it's not fully done up, so maybe this isn't the perfect jacket for elemental protection. While the material does have DWR treatment, it is water resistant. I kind of doubt its ability to hold up in a heavy rainstorm. The material has a little bit of a papery kind of feeling to it. It's not super fragile feeling, but it's also not very thick. It's not very sturdy. And although it does have a bit of two-way stretch, it's got a kind of scratchy feeling to it. It's not super comfy against the skin or next to very thin stuff. And overall, the quality and construction is definitely representative of a mass-produced garment rather than a premium luxury one. This certainly doesn't match up to some of the nicer stuff that I've got, but it does come in at a much cheaper price, so the sacrifice has to be made somewhere, and that's a very clear area where you can see that difference. I don't think it's going to fall apart or anything, but it's just a bit messy on the inside, and it doesn't have that like grr military durability for 100 years kind of feeling to it. Just kind of feels like a normal, fairly inexpensive garment, but you know, it's okay. Something that I was fairly happy with though was the overall look and fit of this jacket. Those extra zips, like the ones that you'll find on the chest pocket and on the arms, will definitely help this feel right at home with other techwear gear. You've also interestingly got a little bit of personalization options because, as is standard with military gear, you've got some Velcro options on the shoulders there. So yeah, you could put a military insignia if you wanted, or you could get some kind of cool techwear-y, more futuristic brand, and then you can kind of make a reference to that in a fairly subtle way. So I've got a couple of Aoku patches that I've stuck on the side there, and that immediately gives it a little bit more of a futuristic edge and kind of pulls it a bit away from looking like military surplus gear. And because this is not branded as a techwear product, but a military one, I don't think it falls into the trap of trying too hard to be edgy or tactical or whatever, which definitely gives it an advantage over quite a few other affordable techwear jackets. So this really is a product with its ups and downs, but I do think it holds its own amongst the affordable techwear brands and those kinds of products, and this comes in a fair bit cheaper than that, so that definitely makes it a viable option. Next up we have the pants. These were under £30, they were dirt cheap, and I was kind of looking forward to having a bit of a mess around with these, but after trying them on, I kind of think they're a bit tragic. The fit does not look good, they kind of flare out at the bottom, which is just no. They're way too long as well, and although they have these draw cords at the bottom to tighten them up, I definitely wouldn't recommend doing that because they just turn into genie pants. It's, yeah, again, not a good look. What I thought and what some other people have done is I took these into a tailor to see if they could be altered to be given more of the aggressive tapered silhouette that we're used to seeing in techwear, and thus getting that look at a way cheaper price than what you might expect. But unfortunately, I took them to a suit tailor and they said that they would basically be uneconomical to alter in any significant way. That's partly due to the pocket design, which sits kind of low, so it means that you can't get a proper taper going from the top of the pant right the way down to the bottom. Also, because of the way that the seams are constructed, there's a kind of double stitched seam on the outside that would have to have been picked apart by hand. You can't just use a normal seam ripper, and there's not a seam on the inside either, so it would have been more difficult to get a convincing looking taper and a nice overall silhouette basically. So that was pretty disappointing, definitely an L as far as the pants are concerned, but it's a good learning experience in that you can't just buy anything and expect to take it to a tailor, have them alter it, make it cool or whatever. You've got to start with something workable. So those points that I mentioned as reasons that they couldn't do anything with these, take note of those, I suppose, if you're considering doing the same thing, so that you know what kind of product to purchase, something that can actually be altered into a different shape of your choosing. So we can forget all about the pants, but how can we make the best possible use of this jacket? Well, I think it deserves to be combined with other techwear gear that has that little bit of a military edge to it, so we keep a nice cohesive theme. So for example, I've got those Nike SFB boots, they definitely have that slightly futuristic, very military thing going on. Those two would make an excellent combination here, I think. You could also consider making use, but sparing use, of those more recognized brands, either doing so through accessories, using some kind of logo or insignia of a more recognized brand, or some of those elements that are quite recognizable within the techwear world, like those 3-point harnesses, for example, which quite a few brands do. Orbit gear, of course, being one of the better known examples of that, certainly in the more affordable space. Something like that could certainly work, and it could make an outfit look a bit more recognizable or a bit more premium than it actually is. Of course, you do have to be careful there. You don't want like Yohji Yamamoto hat and then like £20 jacket or something. It's like a bit of a mismatch, not a good look, but there's certainly a level there that you could work with that elevates things above using purely military gear. And you could also, as I showed in this video, add some custom elements to products like this. The Velcro patches are a really easy example of that. You stick some branded stuff on there, and then immediately that elevates this past the world of military into something that is done for a more considered aesthetic purpose. So very simply, and to give you some kind of an idea of those kinds of points, I wore this in an outfit with the Antwon Levé Meztu, some ACG Moabs, and an Orbit Gear bag as well with that distinctive 3-point harness. I think all of those things work pretty well together, and I think it helps bring out the best in this jacket without making anything look too overblown or over the top or costumey. And while we're talking about affordable stuff and military gear specifically, definitely don't forget about military accessories. That's mostly because they use the same kinds of webbing systems that you'll find in products from Acronym, Orbit Gear, Aoku, Amdus, like all of these bag and accessories brands that I've covered on this channel. Their webbing systems are derived straight from military designs, so therefore the two are often compatible, and you could find yourself getting some nice little mods or attachments for a cool bag or even a cool bag itself and then add TECHWEAR branded mods or accessories at fairly decent prices. And these kinds of things work so well and combine so nicely together that that's a great way of getting a cool TECHWEAR product or something that will work really nicely with TECHWEAR clothing at a much cheaper price than if you go 100% acronym with acronym mods and acronym stuff, acronym. And yeah, there's a wealth of options there. There's just so many ways you can combine different mods and accessories. Even things like gaiters and scarves and, you know, face coverings, things like that. Military brands do all that kind of stuff and available much cheaper than fashion-y equivalents. So my experience with this military stuff has been a bit hit and miss, literally one hit for the jacket and one miss for the pants, but it does show that there are alternatives out there if you're not willing to pay those luxury premium prices and you are very much, I'm gonna stick to that affordable level, then it's definitely a contender compared to the other affordable TECHWEAR brands out there, or opting for sort of non-TECHWEAR stuff or generic outdoor performance gear. Of course, the performance is not going to be to the same level as that more premium stuff or the performance-focused stuff, but neither is it pure costume. It definitely has something going for it, and I feel like it has some element of wearability and utility. And some of the downsides, like the branding not really being there or not being very cool or recognizable or whatever, can be mitigated through the use of other products and accessories and attachments that you could put on this. Or if branding isn't your thing, you know what, you can just leave it off in an outfit like this and you'll end up having a bit more of a kind of security operator, slightly futuristic tactical kind of thing, but not too wild and too over the top. And that might be exactly what you're after, kind of somewhere between Tech Ninja and Greyman. So that was my little introduction to the world of military TECHWEAR. Definitely something to consider if you're looking along those more affordable lines. Definitely a viable contender, I think. But let me know what you think about the stuff that I picked up, both the jacket and the pants, although probably know already what you're going to say about the pants. And no doubt some of you will have much more experience with this stuff and will have been wearing it for years, in which case definitely let everyone know down there in the comments if you've got particular brands or particular item recommendations that you think are either particularly good from a quality or a performance perspective, or just look really cool. That's going to be super helpful for the relative newcomers to this stuff, including myself, to be honest. There's certainly a lot about the military side of things that I don't really know. But anyway, if you enjoyed the video, please do give it a like, because it's super appreciated, of course. And as always, we will be back next week with another video.